All right, deep divers, get ready because today we're diving into a topic that some might call a little bit, well, dry.
Yeah.
We're talking about homeownership and mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
And that stack of notes you've got from that financial literacy course?
Right.
Well, think of this as like your cheat sheet, your backstage pass to
Absolutely.
really making sense of it all.
Yeah, we're going way beyond just the basics here. We're going to unpack those renting versus buying pros and cons,
Right.
but we'll also really get into how mortgages work,
Yes.
explore that whole world of equity, and even touch on using real estate as an investment.
Yeah, and even if you're not planning on buying a house right now,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
understanding this stuff, it's like leveling up your financial literacy.
Totally.
It's like having a secret decoder ring for the world of money.
Exactly.
So to kick things off, let's talk about this age-old debate.
Mm-hmm.
Renting versus buying.
Okay.
Now, the notes lay out the classic arguments,
Right.
flexibility versus commitment, all that.
Yeah, but what's the real difference?
Yeah, what is it? You know that saying, renting is throwing money away? Honestly, I never really got that.
Yeah.
Until I started going through these notes.
Okay.
It all comes down to building equity, right?
That's the magic word.
That's the thing.
It really is.
I never understood that.
It changes the game.
Yeah.
Imagine this. You pay rent for years,
Yeah.
right? You're diligently sending those checks every month.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of it, what do you have? You have nothing,
Right.
at least not financially,
And nothing to show for it.
Right, but owning a home, especially when you pair that with a smart mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
you're building a little financial fortress,
Okay.
brick by brick.
All right. I'm intrigued. I'm listening. Break down this fortress of equity for me.
Okay, so every time you made that mortgage payment,
Yeah.
it's divided into two parts.
Okay.
One part chips away at the principal, which is the actual amount you borrowed.
Okay.
The other part tackles the interest, which
Mm.
is like the fee, the cost of borrowing that money in the first place.
Yeah.
It's like a seesaw. And as you keep paying that loan down, the seesaw starts tipping in your favor.
So the more you pay, the more of that payment is actually going towards owning the house,
Yeah.
not just back to the bank.
You're getting it.
Okay.
And here's the thing. That shift from interest to principal happens gradually over time, and it's all thanks to this thing called amortization.
Okay, amortization.
Yeah.
That's one of those words that always sounded intimidating to me.
I know it's a big word.
Yeah, like some complex financial formula.
It's really not as complicated as it sounds.
Okay.
The key takeaway here is that, especially in those early years of your mortgage,
Yeah.
a big chunk of what you're paying is going towards the interest,
Oh, interesting.
not actually paying down what you owe on the house.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the snowball effect, but in reverse.
Okay.
Instead of growing, you're chipping away at that debt.
So that's why it's so important to really compare interest rates when you're looking at different mortgages, right?
Huge.
Yeah. Because even a small difference in that percentage
Absolutely.
can make a huge difference over time.
Especially if you're going to be in that house for a while.
Yeah, you're going to be there for the long haul.
It makes a big difference really understanding how amortization works.
Okay.
It's like having a secret weapon when you're making these mortgage decisions.
So that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the world of mortgages themselves.
Okay.
Because honestly, all the different types, it's like a whole other language.
That is, it's a lot.
We see fixed rate, adjustable rate, FHA, VA, jumbo loans. It's a lot to unpack.
It's like picking out the perfect outfit, but instead of clothes, it's your financial future.
Yeah.
You got to find the right fit. It's all about finding that perfect fit, especially when it comes to something as important as a mortgage.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about some of these different mortgage options.
Okay.
Let's break it down.
All right, let's start with the fixed rate mortgage.
Okay.
Those sound pretty self-explanatory, right?
They are. They really are.
So what's the deal with fixed rate mortgages?
Well, with a fixed rate mortgage, your interest rate stays the same for the entire life of the loan.
Okay.
It's like that classic white shirt. It never goes out of style.
I like it.
It means predictable monthly payments,
Right.
which can be a huge relief
Really.
when you're trying to budget for the long term.
For sure. Especially if you're the kind of person who values stability,
Yeah,
peace of mind.
right.
You know exactly what you're going to pay each month.
You got it. No surprises.
No surprises. I like it.
Now, on the other hand, you've got your adjustable rate mortgages
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
ARMs.
I like ARMs. Okay.
And those are more like that,
Those always seemed a bit riskier to me.
They can be. They can be.
Why is that?
Well, ARMs usually start with a lower interest rate than fixed rate mortgages.
Okay.
So for a certain amount of time, maybe like 5 or 7 years,
Okay.
your payments are going to be lower.
Okay.
But, and this is a big, after that initial period, that interest rate It can change
It can change.
depending on what the market's doing.
So it could go up?
It could go
Back
up
up.
or down. Exactly.
It's like playing the stock market, but with your mortgage.
Kinda, yeah, it's a little riskier.
Okay.
ARMs, they can be a good choice for some people. Like if you're comfortable with a little bit of risk,
Okay.
maybe you know you're going to move or refinance before that adjustable rate kicks in.
Right, right.
So they definitely have their place.
So if you're planning to stay put for a while, maybe that fixed rate is the safer bet.
Probably, yeah. Less to worry about.
But if you like a little uncertainty,
Yeah, if you're okay with a little risk.
you like to live on the edge,
Exactly.
then an ARM could save you money in the short term.
It could. It really depends on the market.
Okay. So it all comes down to
Your risk tolerance, your financial goals, what your plans are for the long term.
Got it. Okay.
Now, beyond those two, we have other options too.
Right. There's more, right? Like
FHA, VA, and jumbo loans.
yeah, those always felt a bit like a secret menu at a restaurant.
Right, like only certain people know about them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell me more about these.
Okay, so FHA loans, for example,
Okay.
they're backed by the Federal Housing Administration,
Right.
and they're designed to help first-time home buyers
Oh, okay.
or folks with lower credit scores.
Okay, so it makes it a little easier to get into a home.
Exactly. It gives them a chance to get into the market.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah. And then we have VA loans.
Okay.
Those are specifically for veterans and their families.
Wow.
And they come with some really amazing benefits, like no down payment.
No down payment. That's huge.
It's a big deal. It really is.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's a small way to give back to those who served our country.
Absolutely.
Now, jumbo loans,
Jumbo loans.
those are for, well, jumbo-sized houses.
So the big ones, the expensive ones.
Exactly, for those really high-priced properties.
So multi-million-dollar mansions, things like that.
Yeah, or maybe a luxury condo in a prime location.
Okay, that makes sense.
They're for when you need a lot of borrowing power.
Got it. So we've talked a lot about mortgages.
We've covered a lot of ground.
But your notes really emphasize that even if you get that perfect interest rate, even if you find your dream home,
Right.
that monthly mortgage payment,
Yeah.
it's really just one piece of the puzzle, right?
It's the tip of the iceberg, really.
There's a lot more to budget for when you own a house, isn't there?
That's right. There are a lot of hidden costs that people don't always think about.
Like what?
Well, you've got property taxes, for one,
Right?
and then there's homeowners insurance.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And don't forget about maintenance.
Maintenance, right.
And then there are those unexpected repairs that always seem to pop up.
It's always something, right?
It's like they say, everything costs more than you think it will.
That's the truth.
And houses, well, they're no exception.
Yeah, no kidding.
For example, let's say someone making $50,000 a year wants to buy a $250,000 house.
Okay.
They might be able to make the mortgage payment, but what about property taxes, insurance? What about saving for those unexpected repairs?
Right. All those things add up.
They do, and suddenly that monthly cost is much higher than they thought.
So it's not just about qualifying for the mortgage, is it?
Nope.
It's about being able to afford everything else that comes with owning a home.
Exactly. You have to think long term.
Play the long game.
That's it. You got it.
Okay, so we've talked about the hidden costs, but let's talk about the good stuff.
Okay, the fun stuff.
The fun stuff, building equity.
Yes. Building that financial fortress, remember?
Yes, brick by brick.
Brick by brick. That's what we're talking about.
So tell me, how can you actually use that equity?
Well, think of your home equity as a financial safety net,
Okay,
or even a springboard to help you reach other financial goals.
interesting.
It's not just about owning your home outright someday.
Okay.
You can actually use that equity while you're still paying down your mortgage.
Really?
There are a couple of popular ways that people do that.
Okay.
One way is a home equity loan, which is like a second mortgage.
Just second mortgage, okay.
You borrow a lump sum,
Okay.
and you use your home's value as collateral,
Okay.
and you pay it back with interest over a set period of time.
So it's like taking out a loan,
Exactly.
but you're using your house as the collateral.
That's it. You got it.
Okay, that's interesting. So you could use that for renovations or to consolidate debt.
Absolutely. Any big expenses you might have.
Got it, got it.
The other option is called a home equity line of credit, or a ELOC.
PLOC.
It's a bit different from a home equity loan.
How so?
Instead of getting a lump sum up front, a ELOC works more like a credit card.
Okay.
You have access to a revolving line of credit.
So you can borrow what you need when you need it.
Exactly. Up to a certain limit, of course.
Right. So a home equity loan is like a one-time cash infusion.
Exactly.
And an ATLOC is more like a financial safety net.
You got it. They both have their pros and cons.
Of course.
It really depends on your individual needs and what you're trying to achieve.
So understanding how to leverage your home equity, that can be a game changer.
It really can. It gives you a lot of options.
This is all super helpful information.
Glad to hear it.
But your notes also touch on something else that we mentioned earlier, using real estate as an investment.
That's right. There's more to real estate than just owning your own home.
Right, so becoming a landlord or flipping houses, what are the things people should consider before diving into that?
Well, renting out properties or flipping houses can be great ways to build wealth, but it's not for everyone.
Okay.
Let's start with being a landlord.
Okay.
It seems pretty simple on the surface, right? You buy a property, collect rent. Easy money.
Right.
But as with most things in life, it's a bit more complicated than that.
All right, I'm listening. Unpack those complexities for us.
Well, for starters, being a landlord is a job. It's not just passive income.
Right.
It takes time, it takes dedication, and honestly, it takes a certain skill set.
So you're not just cashing checks every month.
No, not at all. You're responsible for finding tenants, screening them,
Okay.
handling maintenance and repairs, and then there's the legal side of things, leases and all that.
Right, right.
So you're kind of on call 24/7 for anything that goes wrong with that property.
That sounds stressful.
It can be. It definitely takes a certain type of personality.
Okay.
You need patience. You got to be organized
It.
and good at solving problems,
Right.
because you're dealing with people's homes.
Yeah.
And that can get emotional and things happen that you don't expect.
I'm sure a pipe bursts in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Or a tenant is late with rent.
Oh, yeah. Or you get that noise complaint from the neighbors.
Right.
You're the one they call. It's your responsibility.
It's not as easy as they make it look on those HGTV shows.
Definitely not.
So you need to be ready to handle all that, maybe even be a little bit handy yourself.
Or at least have a good plumber on speed dial.
Right. Exactly.
But for those who are willing to put in the work, being a landlord can be a good way to earn some extra income.
And build wealth over time.
Exactly.
So we've talked about being a landlord. Now what about those house flipping shows?
Yes. House flipping.
Seems like everyone on TV is doing it these days.
Right. It looks so glamorous. Those before and afters are incredible.
But I'm guessing it's not as easy as it looks.
It's not. It's much more than just making things look pretty.
What else is involved?
Well, you need a good understanding of the real estate market.
Oh,
You need to be able to spot a property with potential,
I see.
and you need to be able to estimate those renovation costs accurately, which is harder than it sounds.
So you're like a project manager, designer, and marketer all in one.
That's a good way to put it. And then there's the financial risk. You're putting up your own money.
Right, and hoping you make a profit.
Exactly. But the market can fluctuate, and there's no guarantee that buyers will be lining up.
Sounds like a bit of a roller coaster ride.
It can be. You need to be able to handle stress and uncertainty.
So whether you're thinking about being a landlord or flipping houses, it's not something to jump into lightly.
Definitely not. It's important to do your research.
Understand the risks and the rewards.
Exactly. And know yourself. How much risk can you handle? What are your goals?
This has been such an insightful deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too. It's amazing how much goes into home ownership and real estate investing.
It's more than just picking out a nice house.
Way more. It's about understanding your finances, your risk tolerance, your long-term goals.
Absolutely. And I think something that really resonated with me is that homeownership isn't just about money.
Right. It's about more than just numbers.
It's about finding a place that feels like home.
Exactly. It's about that sense of pride, that feeling of accomplishment,
Putting down roots, building a future.
and having the freedom to make it your own.
Exactly. So while the financial side is important, it's really those emotional rewards that make it all worthwhile.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, folks, there you have it. We've explored the exciting and sometimes overwhelming world of homeownership, mortgages, and even real estate investing.
Hopefully you're feeling empowered to make those big financial decisions.
Exactly, because knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely. And when it comes to your home and your money, a little knowledge can go a long way.
Now, here's a little something to think about as you go about your day. If you could design your dream home, what would it look like? And where would it be?
That's a good one.
Share your visions with us on social media. We'd love to hear them.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Until then, happy learning.